There is a deeply comforting illusion that human biology has quietly installed into the operating system of your mind. It is the feeling, persistent and seemingly unshakable, that right now, at this very moment, the universe is ticking forward in perfect unison. That somewhere out in the vast dark between galaxies, another form of intelligence is breathing, thinking, perhaps even looking up at their own sky, sharing this precise moment in time with you. It is one of the most seductive ideas the human mind has ever produced. And it is, from the foundational perspective of modern physics, completely and profoundly wrong. The cosmos does not operate on a single clock. There is no grand, universal metronome sending synchronized pulses across the fabric of space. What we call the present, what feels so immediate and undeniable from the inside of your biological experience, is a deeply local phenomenon. It belongs to you, to your frame of reference, to the specific geometry of space-time you happen to be moving through. And the moment you begin to appreciate what that truly means at interstellar scales, the universe transforms from a place of potential cosmic neighborhood into something far more geometrically isolating, something that behaves, in its physical architecture, more like a mathematical prison than a shared commons. To understand the full weight of this, we need to begin where Einstein began, not with rockets or alien ships, but with the foundational structure of time itself. In the physics that emerged from special relativity in 1905 and was deepened by general relativity a decade later, time is not a river flowing at the same rate for everyone everywhere. Time is a geometric feature of space-time, and it bends, it stretches, it responds to velocity and to gravitational fields with the same mathematical necessity that a rubber sheet responds to a heavy object placed upon it. This is not a metaphor. This is the physical architecture of the cosmos. Now here is where the comfortable illusion begins to fracture. Einstein showed us something called the relativity of simultaneity. Two events that appear to happen at precisely the same moment for one observer will appear to happen at different moments for another observer moving at a different velocity. The separation in time between events is not fixed. It is observer-dependent. It is woven into the very geometry of how different reference frames slice through the four-dimensional fabric of space-time. Consider what this means for the question of alien civilizations. Imagine a highly advanced intelligence living in a stellar system roughly 2 million light-years from the Milky Way in the region of the Andromeda Galaxy. From our perspective here on Earth, if we were to ask right now what is happening over there, the answer physics gives us is deeply unsettling. There is no single answer. The events we would call simultaneous with our present moment depend on our relative motion. An observer standing perfectly still relative to that distant system, if such a reference frame could even be meaningfully defined across that distance, might share something approximating our definition of now, but an observer just walking at a casual pedestrian pace toward that galaxy shifts their personal definition of the present moment by millions of years, not thousands, millions. A leisurely walk changes what slice of that galaxy's history you call simultaneous with your heartbeat. This is the terrifying mathematical heart of the problem. The alien civilization you imagine sharing a moment with you right now may, from the rigorous perspective of relativity, be millions of years in your past or millions of years in what you would call your future, depending on something as trivial as the direction and speed of your motion. The present moment is not a flat universal plane cutting cleanly across the cosmos. It is a collection of tilted, warped, observer-dependent slices through space-time. And the further you reach across the void, the more violently those slices diverge from one another. Think about it this way. Imagine a massive global telephone network connecting every person on Earth, but every single physical line in this network, every cable, every signal path carries a mandatory non-negotiable delay of 2 million years. You can know the correct number. You can dial with perfect precision. Your signal can travel faithfully through the system. But by the time your voice arrives at the receiver on the other side of the planet, the person you called, their children, their civilization, their species, every trace of their biological legacy, has long since dissolved back into the chemistry of the planet. You are technically connected by the infrastructure of the network, but you are completely isolated by the sheer temporal scale of the delay. The connection exists, the communication does not. That is precisely the physical reality of the cosmos. The dark void does not share a present moment. Every stellar system is fundamentally isolated inside its own temporal bubble, sealed by the geometry of light and time. And now we arrive at what physicists call the speed of causality, which the general public tends to misunderstand in a way that significantly underestimates its cosmic consequences. The speed of light, 299,792,458 meters per second in a vacuum, is commonly presented as simply the speed limit for physical travel, a frustrating ceiling on how fast a spaceship can go. That framing, while technically accurate, misses the deeper physical reality almost entirely. The speed of light is not primarily a traffic law for matter. It is the maximum rate at which cause and effect can propagate through the universe. It is the speed of causality itself. What this means is that the universe uses this limit not merely to slow down physical travel, but to mathematically quarantine regions of spacetime from one another. If an event occurs in a distant galaxy today, meaning in any slice of time we might reasonably call simultaneous with our present moment, that event has zero causal connection to anything happening on Earth right now. It cannot influence us. We cannot influence it. The information, the physical consequences, the ripple of cause and effect cannot cross that gap in time to reach us. The separation is not a practical engineering challenge waiting for a sufficiently advanced propulsion system to solve. It is a geometric feature of spacetime built into the foundational structure of the universe with mathematical rigidity. The quarantine is not technological, it is architectural. An alien civilization on the far side of the Milky Way is not simply far away in the spatial sense. They are separated from us by a light travel time of tens of thousands of years. Any message they send us will arrive here when the civilization that sent it has had tens of thousands of additional years to evolve, collapse, or vanish entirely. The sender and the receiver are temporally isolated by the mechanics of causality. They are not living in our time any more than the ancient stars whose light we see tonight are burning right now in the moment we perceive their glow. That light left its source thousands or millions of years ago. The star may already be a cold remnant, a collapsed neutron star, or a dispersed nebula. We are not seeing it now. We are seeing its past. The universe is not showing us the present. It is showing us a geological archive of light, a layered fossil record of photons, each carrying information from its source at the moment of emission, which may be separated from our present moment by intervals of cosmic time that make the entire history of human civilization seem like a single tick of a very slow clock. But let us now press further into the geometry and examine what happens when an advanced civilization attempts to overcome this quarantine through sheer technological force. Imagine they have mastered propulsion systems of extraordinary power and can accelerate a vessel to velocities approaching the speed of causality. What does physics do in response? It does not simply impose a fuel cost, it restructures time itself. This is the phenomenon of time dilation, and its consequences at near-light velocities are not subtle. As an object accelerates toward the speed of light, time for that object begins to flow more slowly relative to the wider universe. At 99% of the speed of light, a clock on board the vessel ticks at roughly 1/7 the rate of a clock left behind on the home planet. At 99.9%, the ratio becomes even more severe. At 99.9999%, the travelers might experience a single year of subjective time while tens of thousands of years flow past on the worlds they left behind and the worlds they are traveling toward. The travelers are not cheating the universe. They are being swallowed by its geometry. They cross the void in what feels to them like months, but the civilization they left behind has aged by millennia. The star system they are traveling toward has cycled through thousands of years of its own history. They arrive not as visitors in the present, but as dislocated artifacts from a past that no longer exists in recognizable form. Their home world may have forgotten them long ago. The civilization they hope to contact may have risen, flourished, and collapsed entirely during the decades of their voyage as measured by the exterior universe. Time dilation does not solve the isolation, it deepens it. The traveler who attempts to cheat the temporal prison by approaching the speed of causality does not escape the prison. They are placed in solitary confinement within it, sealed inside a frozen subjective frame while the universe ages around them at a rate they cannot access and cannot reverse. And this brings us to the full geometric picture of why the cosmos is structured to produce intelligence in permanent isolation. The universe is approximately 93 billion light-years across in its observable extent. The distances between galaxies range from hundreds of thousands to hundreds of millions of light-years. The speed of causality sets an absolute ceiling on how fast information and physical matter can cross those distances. The relativity of simultaneity ensures that there is no shared universal present moment, tying distant civilizations together in a common temporal experience. And time dilation guarantees that any attempt to physically bridge those distances comes at the cost of catastrophic temporal displacement. Nature is not being cruel, it is being geometric. The physical laws that allow matter to form stars, planets, amino acids, and eventually minds are the same laws that mathematically guarantee those minds will be separated by intervals of time and causality so vast that coordination, communication, and contact become not merely difficult, but structurally forbidden in any operational sense. We look at the night sky and we see it as a spatial panorama, a ceiling of distance. But physics insists we are looking at a temporal panorama, a mosaic of different moments from the past, all arriving simultaneously at our eyes, but originating in completely different chapters of cosmic history. The sky is not a window into space, it is a window into time, and every photon that reaches your retina is a messenger from a past that may bear no resemblance whatsoever to the present state of its source. The universe is mathematically desynchronized at its foundations. The very geometry that allows spacetime to curve and bend and accommodate the motion of matter is the geometry that severs the temporal connections between distant regions of space. Intelligence, wherever it arises alone. Not because the cosmos is empty, but because the cosmos is structured so that even a full universe of minds would be separated by such immense desynchronized intervals of time and causality that each mind, each civilization, each species is effectively sealed inside its own local present, unable to reach across the temporal void to touch another. That is not a limitation of our technology. It is not a problem waiting for a more clever engineering solution. It is the physical architecture of a universe that appears to have been structured through its foundational geometry to mathematically quarantine the very intelligence it gives rise to. The present moment is yours alone. The cosmos does not share it. You said, "Gag, create an SEO-friendly short description for a YouTube video, including relevant hashtags."